Hi, I'm Lenore Hawkins, Chief Macro Strategist at Tematica Research. And each week on our Cocktail Investing podcast, we distill the headlines into what matters most and point out where the mainstream financial media is just getting drunk on their own narrative, all while having a hell of a lot of fun. Here's an example of last week's podcast. One of the things that really amazed me about the budget that came out this month, and I have to say that, well, actually it came out earlier this week. And people are talking about this, about the expectations around GDP growth. But what amazes me is how much people do not seem to understand what creates growth of GDP. And all this criticism that's going back and forth, none of it really addresses the core things of what actually generates it. Because potential GDP growth really is just simply the sum of productivity.
Hang on. Listeners, get your notebooks ready.
It's such a simple thing, and it kills me that we keep talking about it as if a president can materially do something to grow GDP.
Right. Well, but that's,
I would say they can harm it a little bit.
That's the expectation, and part of that I think is due to campaigning, and
you want to say that you can, right?
Yes,
you don't want to get up there and go, nah, we're kind of screwed, nothing I can do. It's tough to get voters that way, right?
Exactly.
But here it is. This is the only way you grow an economy. Potential GDP growth is simply the sum of productivity growth and potential labor force growth. So either you improve productivity, you grow the number of people working, or both, right? Now, in the US, the potential labor force growth today is just under 0.5%. And that's simply a function of people not having as many babies, right? We had the big baby boom, tons of people have babies, but kind of decade after decade, the American fertility rate, which is just recording how many babies families are having per family, has just kept going down and down and down. Women particularly, are choosing to have children later in life. And this is something that we see all over the Western world. So that labor growth is down to 0.5% per year. So we have to look at growth of labor force and productivity. Now, productivity growth has averaged about 0.5% a year since the financial crisis. Now, that is way below the post-World War II up until 2008 average. That was about 2.25%. There's all kinds of reasons behind why the productivity growth has gone down so much. And that is definitely where Congress, president can move some levers, particularly if companies decide that there's good opportunities for them in the future. They can invest in their own productive capacity, right, and make people more efficient so you can get more stuff done. What we've been seeing with lots of share buybacks or dividend payouts, that is the opposite of investing in your productive capacity. So a little fudging can be done around there, but productive capacity is not something that you can flip a switch on overnight.
No.
Right? This is something, it takes investment, it takes a long time, which is why the Congressional Budget Office is estimating that productivity is going to remain at about 0.5% a gain a year.
For how long are they forecasting that? Do you know?
They're saying that over the next 6 years.
That's got to be a real thorn in the side of Munchkin's GDP forecast.
Well, and if you look at so what if we look, let's put the productivity to the side. If we're going to get with that 6% growth rate, because there's nothing you can do in the short term outside of a massive influx of immigrants that you can do to really grow the labor pool. So with the labor pool at that, we need to have productivity grow at 6 times what it did last year. We need to have that happen like overnight. Yeah. That means we need growth that's actually double the rate we saw under Reagan. And that was kind of one of our higher points of productivity. So we're looking to double the best we've had in the past couple of decades. Okay, now if we look at because there's been a lot of headlines about immigration, if you look at the population growth, well, about 2/3 of that 0.5% a year growth, 2/3 of that actually comes from immigration. Now, if net immigration were to actually go to zero, if we stopped having people come into the country on a net basis, the total labor force growth would be less than 0.2% a year. And that means our potential maximum GDP with just 0.5% improvement in productivity and 0.2% growth in the labor force, we'd be down to just 0.7 potential GDP.
So let me just get this straight. So even if we get tax reform, even if we get infrastructure spending, what you're saying is that we still won't have enough people actually
Exactly.
working, and that doesn't even factor in having the right people to do the jobs, which as you know is part of our tooling and retooling investment theme,
Right.
because people, from time to time, if people have been out of the labor force, they either need to acquire new skills or they need to brush up their existing skills. That's really what that theme focuses on. But I think it's a bigger problem.
And we see the problem with that, with the need for tooling and retooling, with how high job openings are relative to hirings, that companies keep reporting they just can't find the right people for the job. And that also affects productivity, because if you can't find the right person for the job and you have to kind of, square peg round hole, you're going to have to shove somebody into a position that's not the right person for the job, which is going to affect productivity, right? If you have the perfect person in the perfect job, productivity is higher. So the mismatch between skills and need for skills is also affecting productivity.
I have to tell you, Lenore, that is simply amazing. When you put it quite that way. Anyway,
Totally amazing.
Anyway, let's carry on. So just real quick.
Thanks for listening, and you can find even more on tematicaresearch.com, or if you prefer, subscribe to the podcast on iTunes.
To see a movie show, found myself an empty row. Thought the show was just alright, same old Saturday night. Then I made the usual stop, coffee at the coffee shop. Friendly face nowhere inside, same old Saturday night. I really thought the papers I bought would help me forget you forever.